Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Last Call podcast, where we are discussing the final film in the Skywalker saga, The Rise of Skywalker, which I still hate that title, and we'll get to why it's called that at the end, but it does not stop me from not liking it. We are joined, I am joined, as always, with my co-host Cam Clark, as well as Brian Brantley, Nick Dahl, and our supreme leader and overlord of LRMonline.com, Joseph Jammer Medina. Thank you guys so much again for being a part of this, and let's get right into it. We are talking the Palpatine reveal. This is Rey admitting and Kylo confirming that she is the granddaughter of Emperor Palpatine. Her daddy was his son, and that's her lineage. Back when the Last Jedi, before it hit, there were a lot of rumors about who she was. You know, is she a Skywalker? Is she Kenobi? Was a popular one, and there were people that posited the idea that she could be a Palpatine, and that was actually one of the ideas that I had liked. I was early on going back, and Brian can confirm this from conversations before I joined the website, and those of you, I said I like the idea of her being a Palpatine better than being a Kenobi or a Skywalker, because it makes it a lot more interesting. She's the lineage of the bad guy, and so I am actually okay with this reveal. I think I still would have preferred the idea of a clone versus the Emperor having a son that didn't agree with him, that didn't do things his way. I don't really see a child of Palpatine surviving disagreeing with him. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
I just had this visual in my head of Emperor Palpatine going, "But son, who's going to take over the galaxy when I die?"
I just think Robot Chicken are going to have a field day with this one, to be honest. You know what I mean? Like doing all
I can't wait for the.
What I'm thinking is who had
Star
sex with Palpatine and when did it happen? You know, I mean, I've just got this weird freaky image in my head. Good.
I mean, come on. There are plenty.
It's coming. It's coming. My seed shall arrive. You know what I mean?
I mean, there are plenty of ugly ass leaders and dictators who basically, you know, have that. So, you know, that's not surprising. But yeah, it's gross.
What would be cool is if they'll do an episode where it's just after he becomes Supreme Chancellor, he's like all in party mode and Phantom Menace, and some girl's like, "So, Supreme Chancellor, and oh, hello, dear." You know what I mean?
And he could use the Force to make himself, you know, appear differently.
I would have preferred it was a clone.
I don't
and his
know.
Clone
I tried
against
not
him, and
to
his
think
clone.
about.
Wait a second. That means that she's basically related to the Skywalkers, because he freaking Force impregnated.
Yeah, but not biologically.
Anakin's mother.
I mean, no, it's
not.
Been canonized.
That's canon.
Which I hate. Absolutely hate it with a passion. Because to me, it was far better for him to just be lying to Anakin at that point in Revenge of the Sith. But yeah, I don't think it's the same as like his DNA is in the Skywalkers. I think the idea that he's manipulating the Force to create a being of much more power.
Pure
but then
Force.
what I never got is, and then he goes, right, and you can imagine his aide going with him, right, are we going to capture her, sir, and like keep her in captivity? No, we shall leave and just let her wander away, and then at some point this child may come back to me or may not. I don't know. Fuck it, we'll just see what happens, guys.
It's weird. I personally would have preferred the Palpatine clone route, kind of borrowing, because they did borrow some stuff from the Dark Empire storyline from the EU here, which we'll get to a little bit later.
And you know what? It would have been interesting if,
cannons.
because he failed when he cloned himself and his son went off, that's when he started just cloning like host bodies like Snoke. they could have put that in as well.
Maybe.
Do you know what I mean? So because one thing never worked, so he went to the other.
So my question to the group is, how do you feel about her being related to Palpatine in general? And would you have preferred her to be related to somebody else or be cloned of Luke or Palpatine? Brian?
Yeah, the Skywalker Palpatine relationship, I mean, is big deal in the OT and the prequel trilogy, so it makes sense to continue it in this if this is going to be the end of the Skywalker saga. So it makes sense that she was a Palpatine. I think we had, like you said, we've had this conversation that it almost had to be. At one point I was thinking, well, if she's not tied to him in any way and there's no Palpatine, connection to these three films, I had a problem with that. So for me, it's perfect. Now, whether or not she should have been a clone or not, I don't care. But no, I absolutely am completely good with this.
Very nice. Jammer?
I hate this with a passion. It is the worst thing in the movie. It is so. It basically, if when 2013 came around, I'll be like, all right, what are the things that you think are most likely going to happen in the movies that you don't want to happen? It's like, well, the lead character is probably related to the bad guy because that we've seen that before, and it's basically what I assumed it would be, what I feared it would be, and I rolled my eyes when the reveal happened. I was just like, oh. Come on, be inventive. This is not exciting. This isn't a surprise. This is just silly and stupid. It undoes what was done before. Yes, it just undoes everything, and it's fucking stupid. I feel like it's a thing that someone was just like, hey, let's do something more exciting, and then J.J. Abrams was like, no, but fans will like it because it connects for the first one and the other trilogy. I'm like, yeah, it connects it, but it's predictable and silly and blah, I don't like it.
It was so predictable that other than her not being a clone, is this not exactly what I said they would do earlier this week on LR Mornings?
I mean, you said this for as long as you've been involved in LRM. I think you've talked about it. It's like, yeah, they're probably going to do this. I'm like, oh, hopefully not. Mm-hmm. I have faith they'll do something better, but that faith was misplaced.
Yeah, I wouldn't have minded her being a clone. What would you have preferred clone? Would you have preferred her to be?
I would have preferred clone because we've already seen Snones in this, but like...
So Roans, you want some Roans?
I would have preferred a Roan over granddaughter Rey, but I would have preferred her not to be related to anybody. Like, I would have preferred that they addressed her strength earlier on in a better way, and that she wasn't related to anybody, because there was something quite powerful about her forging her own path and not being dictated by her past. That being said, in one way that it doesn't completely retcon what came before is in the thematic character growth from The Last Jedi, where she realized, hey, I don't need to know my past in order to forge my future. I like that. And that kind of continues here. Yes, she's a strong past, but at the same time, it's not dictating her future, which I think works thematically. I just wish it wasn't Papa Palpatine.
And I love that you used Papa Palpatine.
This is the first time it's actually been relative now. We have always called him Papa Palps, and now he actually is Papa Palps.
Yeah. Now, look, Robot Chicken had it right. They knew the plan before Disney did.
Yeah.
Go for Papa Palpatine. That's like one of my favorite bits in Robot Chicken Star Wars. Nick, your take on the Palps reveal, and would you have preferred her to be a clone of somebody else or Palp himself?
Okay, so I hoped going into this trilogy that it was not everyone's related story. And I was very happy when Rian Johnson did that. And like I said, I just like to like these movies. I don't criticize certain decisions, and I think if they had done Palpatine originally, I would dig it. But the thing I hate the fucking most about this movie is that's a fucking slap in the face. Like, it feels like one director slapping another director on the face.
Is it worse to you than the I Made Snoke?
Yes, it's far worse.
Okay.
Where it's like, oh, well, especially the way I hate the way it's done, where they think they're doing it in a clever way, where it's like, well, that part was true, they were nobody. because they were trying to hide, and it's like, bitch.
Yeah, that was-
they clearly
bullshit.
didn't
I
sell it
realized
for
so
drinking
hard.
money, though, did they?
No, they didn't.
It's so
And that's the thing I
stupid.
hated was people like, she was the first one to say they were nobody, and I'm like, the implication there is that she knew all along what she was trying to deny, and it's just the fact that people's like, oh, he's lying. I'm like, bitch, he didn't tell her anything other than, they sold her drinking money. She said that they were nobody. She basically confirmed everything because, she knew the past. She just was trying to repress it and trying to think she was important when she wasn't.
Yeah, so that's the reason I really dislike this movie. For like, rather than just being like, it's Star Wars, is that and there's an even worse part later, or worse retcon later, just in someone's performance that we'll discuss. But yeah,
okay. Would you have preferred her to be a clone of Palpatine or a clone of someone else?
no, I'm fine that she's Palpatine's kid. I just don't like that they undid it. Like, I'm fine with the choice, even though it wouldn't have been my choice. But
Right.
they should have done this earlier or not said the other thing, which I know is
Yeah, he should have built off of what came before, not undone. I think that's what it all comes down to, is what it did.
And
Story-wise.
I agree with that. Cam, your
They're
take.
pretty much the same. I don't really have a mate. I don't like Palpatine being back, but if he was going to come back and they were going to go down this route, then for me, that should have been the plan all along, to build that over the 3 movies. That's what we're talking about, of having an overarching plan. You don't need to have 3 scripts on the go. You just need to have this is who she is. This is, who's the real baddie behind it. And if everybody knows that going in, if you make Rian Johnson aware that that's the case going in, then maybe he would have built that into his story more. But clearly he had no idea that's the way they were going to go with it, because it wasn't the way they were going to go with it. And because of that, it just feels like a retcon. It would have worked if this had all been revealed in The Last Jedi somehow, and we knew that Palpatine was coming. But as it is, it doesn't work with the 2 movies that have happened previously for me at all. It just feels like a big retcon. And therefore everything else in the film was built around squeezing all that in to such a tight time frame. There's no time for him to react to it,
I agree that there's things that if we had always known that this was going to be the end point, there's things that should have been done in the other movies, and I agree with what a lot of people have been saying, including our own Fox Troilo, his outstanding review. Whether you agree with the score he gives or not is your thing, but the review itself is solid, and this movie is proof that there was no plan, and I don't care who says what about what they're stretching the truth. Yeah, we discussed it, turned into we planned it. No, you mentioned it. It's kind of like I said before in past podcasts. Adam Driver says he knew where his character was. He's known the end of his character since the beginning. They might have told him you're going to be redeemed and die, but all of the important stuff of how and how he got from point A to B and B to C, none of that was.
But see,
planned.
if the plan,
I think with
sorry,
him,
I'll let you go first, Jim.
I think if Kylo, I can imagine him saying, "Here's the arc we planned for Kylo Ren," and him going like, "Oh, that's good. I'm going to lean hard into my evilness in the second one and come back in the third one." Like, I could see that have been. I could see someone talking to him and saying that's where we're going, and that's ultimately where we went, because I think that's fine. I could see that happening. But as far as like the overall plan, yeah, it seems very clear that there was no overall plan.
See, the problem for me is if they did have a plan for what the end point of his character would be. I'm not saying they did, but he says they did. So if they did, then Rian Johnson made a lot of strange choices in his film if he knew that they were going down a redemption arc. Because to me, when him and Rey have that moment in The Last Jedi where, he offers her hand and then they fight over the lightsaber, that was his pivotal choice moment. He could have went back at that point, but he decided no. He was going to stick it out, and he wanted the dark side, you know what I mean? So for me, there was a finality to that, which I don't think then supports a redemption story later on. And I think the fact that they then wanted to redeem him is A, too much like the old trilogy because it just becomes the same story again. B is the reason they had to bring back Palpatine, because you need if you're going to redeem one character, you still need to have a villain at the end of it. And then if you're bringing back Palpatine, that dictates the Rey's lineage situation, and it just feels like all these things come off of that decision. If that's what they want, I need to redeem Ben Solo in this movie. You know, I'm just not sure that was the best choice.
I will say, though, when it comes to the 3-act structure, the end of Act 2 is always the darkest moment. So him rejecting that at the end of movie 2 and leaning into his darkness structurally makes sense. I'm not sure I completely agree with the way it was handled and everything, but I don't necessarily think we could say there clearly wasn't a plan for Kylo Ren because he should have made that decision earlier.
I don't think it's necessarily
because, like I said,
that he had to
structurally
come
it makes
back.
sense
I
for
think
him.
it's just that you didn't need to do that in such a way that it felt like, because it's the fact that it comes after Snoke's been killed. So the main threat's gone then, the person that's driving and influencing and persuading Kylo Ren towards the dark side is then gone. So after that, it's his own choices. But I think
then you can argue that he had his own inner demons to deal with that unrelated to Snoke, and they kind of dealt with them slightly in this movie. Which, you know, once again, not a perfect movie, but and I don't fully like the direction it went, but I can't say that, it was not a part of the plan as far as his arc goes. Maybe the rest of the movie.
Then for what ends up bringing him back in the end, and I would question that doesn't happen in this film.
Okay.
We'll talk more about his redemption once we get to it. Anybody else have anything else to say about the Palpatine lineage or reveal? Nope. Alrighty, Cam, I believe you're taking us to
We are going back to
one of its moons.
Yeah, and I have a lot of issues with everything that happens on Endor, but we'll just go through quickly what happens. So they go to Endor, or one of its moons certainly, and they're looking for the downed Death Star wreckage because the Sith dagger has pointed them, or the translation of it has pointed them in that direction. And they get there, and then Rey seems to know how to pull this little bit out of the dagger all of a sudden, and she lines up this Sith dagger, and it's like the Goonies when they use the little map on the Goonies, and they say, that's where it is, you know, because the geography matches it. So I thought, nice steal from the Goonies there, J.J. Abrams, right away, because that's what Abrams does. But it doesn't make any fucking sense to me. Anyway, we'll get to that. And then Rey decides she's not going to wait. We meet Janna. For some reason, Janna appears and then doesn't do much of anything the rest of the film, in my opinion, but there you go. Janna appears and announces that she used to be, and her group used to be stormtroopers as well. Rey buggers off, goes on her own in that wave skipper thing. She goes looking for the Wayfinder, and she comes against a sort of vision of herself as the dark side, and they have a battle, and as she comes out, she confronts Kylo Ren. She and Kylo Ren then have quite a big fight that goes right out to the outside of the Death Star again. Finn's trying to sort of stop her from fighting, and she essentially fatally kills Kylo Ren, or fatally wounds him after Kylo Ren's got the better of her. Leia then seems to put all her power into trying to persuade Ben to come back to the good side, and he has a momentary pause in which Rey stabs him, fatally wounding him, and then she gets all upset about that. She recognises that Leia's passed away as well, and then she decides that she's going to use this healing ability to heal Kylo Ren. After that, she basically runs away, uses Kylo's ship, and she runs away, and Kylo gets up and he has a conversation with his father, Han Solo, and basically comes back to the light side and throws his red lightsaber out into the ocean. So that's the sequence of events we're discussing here. I didn't like the map thing because I don't understand how possibly the Emperor would have created a dagger that would have managed to know the exact location of that Wayfinder as the wreckage had fallen into the ocean. That doesn't really make any sense to me, I have to say. it was stupid, and it just leaves a plot hole to me. If you follow back, why did they do this in the first place? You end up getting to some real logical problems for me. I really enjoyed the lightsaber battle between Rey and herself, and then Rey and Kylo Ren. But I thought his redemption was a bit off for me, just a little bit too quick, and not enough momentous had happened to kind of force him into that point of view in the first place. And I didn't like the fact that Han Solo was back, but we'll get to that in a little bit. So, Brian, what was your take in this whole sequence?
I like the idea of stormtroopers defecting and sort of forming their own little groups. I wish that had been explored more. I agree with you. It gets very convoluted when you start putting together, okay, this knife matches up with the Death Star pieces, which leads to the throne room. I mean, that's a little ridiculous, but I love the lightsaber duel. My favorite stuff in this film is similar to The Last Jedi, is all the Kylo Rey stuff. I really enjoy their scenes together. I think the two actors work really well together. And so I love that lightsaber duel. I loved the emotion in it, and I enjoyed the way it ended. I like the connection, the Leia sort of interfering, and I didn't have an issue with the redemption part. I quite liked it, actually. And so, yeah, no, I really enjoyed that sequence.
Okie what about you, John?
I enjoyed the stormtrooper angle as well, like Finn finding his people, and the idea of like, yeah, they're not all a complete hive mind. Some people also did resist, and in this case, they had a group that wasn't alone. I think that's really cool. And that would have been cool to explore that aspect a bit more as well. I agree. I will say, as far as like the not making sense part, I think that was for me for most of this movie, where I'm like, I don't really understand how this makes sense, but I'm just going to go with it. So that was me for like the first half. That was me for this part. That was me for the final battle. I was like, I don't know what's happening, but I'll know when it's going good or going well. That was basically me this entire movie. So yeah, that criticism totally makes sense. I still don't understand it, and I'm not sure I really care to. And the battle between Kylo Ren and Rey, I thought it was okay. It went on for a long time. I was just like, is this thing gonna end yet? Where's this going? Because right now they're just swinging at each other, and I'm waiting for the end part where the important thing is supposed to happen. So I think the battle went on for too long. I get what they were going for, but man, it took forever. I do like the fact that they use their swords differently. I like Kylo Ren swings it in a different way, and Rey, it looks like she swings it in a different way too. Like not just the normal sword way, but the daggery way that they swing it. Like I think that's kind of cool.
Grips and stuff.
Yeah, reverse grips and stuff. Like they had some of that in the last one, or at least Kylo Ren did. I don't think Rey did, but she seems to have taken up that way of doing it as well, at least a little bit. And yeah, I thought that was cool. The Leia stuff, I like the idea of maybe this being the moment that Kylo Ren turns, if he is going to turn. I do agree. I wish I had a little bit more. That being said, he has been constantly tormenting internally, and I could see it being a moment where it's like his mom calls out and then for one last time and then dies, and then he basically gets killed and then gets healed by someone who, by all accounts, should want him dead. It's like it's getting there a little bit close, and me kind of understanding why he would turn at that moment, but I wanted more as well. I think there should have been a little bit more, or an extra something, a little extra couple of things to make it work a bit more. And I also don't know why he threw away the lightsaber, because that's a perfectly good lightsaber, and you could use it for good and not just evil. But I get the point. What else happened?
The hand thing with any issue. Well, no, we'll get to that.
That was
we'll
silly.
Get to that, actually, we'll talk about that afterwards. Yeah. We'll because Kel's got a bit of bee in his bonnet about this one. Nick, what about you?
I was interested in this movie until the throne room, and then that's when I started getting bored. My mind wandered a little bit, but because as soon as you have the confirm that her being on the dark side is a vision, you know it won't happen in the movie. So at that point, I'd figured out the ending for sure. Like, you knew it going in too, but I'd like, oh, okay, now I know the ending. And then, but there is a good moment if you're unsure, where she pushes back Finn almost violently it's to save him, but also it's almost violently during the fight with Kylo, which I felt kind of showed her using dark side powers again. But yeah, otherwise, that's really all I have to say about that part of the movie.
Okay then.
Yeah.
First off, I hate that we couldn't return to the jungle moon of Endor. I hate that we have to go to.
It's the forest moon of Endor.
Yeah, forest moons. Sorry. I hate that we can't do that. I've complained that there's been no until this movie, but only at the very end. There's been no planets from the prequels or the original trilogy, and that bugs me. And same with alien species. But this scene has some of the best stuff and some of the worst stuff in the film. The stormtrooper thing is cool. Janna would have been a great character to introduce in episode 8 and give her and her group more and help Finn's character even more. A sense of he's gained a sense of belonging with the Resistance, but a sense of I'm not alone. Others did what I did. Not like he inspired anybody. They don't make it seem like, for a moment there when she says who she was and he says who he was, I thought she was going to be like, oh, you're that guy. And I'm glad they didn't do it that way. I didn't want to see him become like a beacon in that sense. But I do agree that's a really cool story thread that I really wish we could have explored more, even if it had to happen in past movies. The Goonies thing, I think it's just weird that some Sith guy went out, looked at the way the Death Star was laying, and then carved a dagger to have a map point to the throne room's vault. That's kind of oddly, done, but whatever.
And considering how the ocean goes, you'd think that it would move a little bit.
Yeah, and erosion. It's salt water on metal. I mean, come on now. That's one of those suspension of belief things that I couldn't suspend.
But I guess
enough.
you are assuming it's salt. It's not necessarily salt. It could
That's true.
Fresh.
That is true. It could be a giant lake with massive tides and waves that you don't see on any of the Great Lakes in the United States. But yeah, sure, why not?
Your Earth-centric freaking philosophy does not work in space, Kyle.
I know. So the lightsaber battle between her dark side self, definitely a callback to Luke facing his dark side image in Empire. I liked it. I liked her interaction with herself. I was actually pleased with that scene. And then the very, very awesome lightsaber battle between Kylo and Rey. I was looking at my watch like this can't be that close to the ending. I knew the runtime, and I was like, we haven't gotten to Papa Palpatine yet or anything like that. And I was like, Jammer, this is going on for quite a while, so it made me wonder what type of end fight we would actually get, which we'll talk about. I think the sequel trilogy actually has some of the best lightsaber fights choreograph wise out of the entire saga, save the Duel of the Fates in Phantom Menace, which I still stand by is the single most awesome lightsaber battle in the entire saga. But I really enjoyed this. I like how hard they're hitting each other and seeing them both get tired. Like, I liked that aspect. I thought that was very cool to show them getting tired. And
yeah, we've never seen that, have we?
No, not really. And it shows how much emotion and how much is at stake whenever these two are facing off against each other. And I thought that was just a wonderful touch. Leia communicating with him does touch back, and that's something that they followed on up through The Last Jedi. Kylo couldn't kill his mother. It's another TIE fighter that destroys the bridge. And so it shows that he has a soft spot for mommy. and they leaned into that a bit, and Leia uses all of her Force ability to basically distract him. And she knows that Rey can do healing, and we learn later on that Leia has a vision while she was training to be a Master Jedi, and so I like that she's able to reach out to him, even though I never wanted him redeemed. I wanted him to kind of become a gray character, like they team up against Palpatine because of the threat that he poses, but then he goes off on to do his own thing, maybe even start his own like gray Jedi Order, unifying Force theory instead of living Force, light and dark only. That's kind of what I had really wanted, but I do like the fact that they kill Kylo Ren, and Ben, though I hate his name, returns. I think that having him actually be stabbed through the heart at the moment that his mommy dies, all of that visually, I think is really well done, and some of the best moments in the film, even though I don't necessarily agree with the direction that it took, if that makes sense. And then I absolutely hated him talking to Han Solo. I really despise that. But yeah, that was my general take on that scene, on everything on Endor.
So, what does everybody else think of the Han Solo scene, Brian?
Sue.
Specifically
Han Solo.
Han Solo
I
coming back, because Kyle really hated it, but
I disagree with Kyle, and I liked it, and I liked that it mirrored the beats from Force Awakens. The same dialogue, the struggle Kylo Ren was having. To me, it completed the redemption story. Now, if you hate the redemption story, obviously I could see why you wouldn't like that, but I like the way it was shot. I think Harrison Ford in Force Awakens, he was there, but I don't know how much the actor cared to be there. But between Blade Runner and even this 2-minute performance, I really felt that he wanted to be a part of this. But yeah.
What about you, Jana?
I didn't like it. It was weird. It was just a vision, so I was like, okay, it's a vision. I guess that's fine. I didn't mind it, but I didn't like it. I didn't like the fact that he said "I know" because of a very clear callback to what's it called, to Empire Strikes Back, and it just felt like a wink at the fans. I'm like, don't fucking wink at me. I don't want to see that. And then I think the weirdest part for me was how he didn't even bother shaving for that scene. Like, it just felt like, hey, comes a lot. Do I have to shave? No, don't worry about it. Oh, okay, fine. Because last time we saw him, he was relatively clean shaven. It just felt a bit off to me. But I think the weirdest part of it all was the CG dog that they had running around the entire time. And I was like, how did they get Harrison Ford for this? I didn't get it.
What? Sorry?
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Trailer?
No, before the movie, we had a trailer for the Call of the Wild where it had a terrible CG dog.
Yeah, the dog
and the
looks
whole
so
time
bad.
I was thinking, how do they get Harrison Ford for this shitty movie? Anyway, that was it. That was a joke. But yeah, I didn't like it.
What about you, Nick?
I liked it just because I like to see Harrison Ford on the screen, really. So, yeah, that's about all there. I agree mostly with almost everything Brian said. So,
I don't know. I think for me it would have been better, since he's trying to redeem himself at that point, for maybe Luke to come back and talk to him, or Leia. We couldn't have had that because of Carrie's passing, but that would have been the best thing for Leia to appear before him after her death and actually speak to him. I think would have been a lot better than Harrison Ford. But I think because we didn't have her, they went down the kind of memory route. I'm not sure about it, to be honest. I don't hate it like Kyle does, but that might change as time goes on, basically.
Yeah,
so
I'm in between. Like, I don't hate it, but I don't like it. I would prefer something different. But yeah.
So I'm in the minority on this again. What is with all you people liking Disney's Han Solo? I can't fucking stand it.
I don't get it either. I don't get it either. It's not Han Solo to me.
But
just like Billy D. Williams wasn't freaking Lando to me in this movie. But that's another.
So this is the Force playing with Kylo's memories. But it was still Han Solo has nothing to do with the Force. I don't even like the Force using memories like this. I would have preferred it to be more of a vision. Go back to past moments with his dad. Make this whole thing a real Force vision. Past memories with his dad, even as a kid, and then leading up to the moment on the bridge, and then you can have Kylo do that exact same thing, the same lines, but instead of stabbing his dad, he throws the lightsaber. I think if you had done it more as a Force vision, I would have accepted it better. I didn't like the fact that it's just Han appearing fully physical right there on the Death Star wreckage. Visually, it doesn't work for me. It was a surprise, but it was not a welcomed surprise for me at all. Do any of you guys think that doing it the Force Vision way and ending where he killed Han, but instead throwing his lightsaber would have been better? Brian?
Maybe. Like I said, I really didn't have an issue with it.
Cam?
Probably that would have worked a little bit better for me, if I'm honest, yeah.
Okay. Jammer?
So, can you explain what you mean again? I don't quite understand your
So
idea.
instead of just having Han appear,
Right.
the Force takes Ben on like a trip through his memories with
he would have
Han
not
Solo.
killed him. He would have thrown off the thing instead. The
Right,
lightsaber.
and it leads, like, you see a couple shots with the young Ben, like a teenage Ben, maybe even something at the Jedi temple, and then back to that walkway from the Force Awakens. And because he says the same lines, I know what I got to do, but I don't know if I'm strong enough to do it. Will you help me? And instead of stabbing Han, he throws the lightsaber, and then the image fades away, and he's standing there as Ben Solo on the Death Star wreckage. Would you have preferred that?
So he would have been standing there? That would have been weird. That would have been like, wait a second, is this a time travel movie? What just happened? I know a lot of people would have been confused, but creatively, I do think that would have been cooler. But it would have been also a bit confusing. But it would have been cool.
Okay. Nick?
Yeah, I like your idea. Makes it even better.
Okay, cool. So, all right, I'm good with everything going on to Endor. Anybody else have any last moments or follow-ups or anything?
Nope.
Okay, let's go talk about Rey running off to Ahch-To, whatever.
Octo.
Let's go to her doing exactly what Luke Skywalker does. Rey steals Kylo's ship to run off to the first Jedi temple, where she burns it, and she's gonna abandon everything because of this her lineage, and the whole idea of becoming dark scares her to death. And while the TIE fighter is burning, she throws the lightsaber at the fire, Luke's lightsaber, and Luke catches it, and we get a moment with Luke Skywalker and her. She does eventually agree to go back after another lesson from Master Skywalker, go back to the Rebel base in Luke's X-wing, or not back to the Rebel base, but she transmits the pathway to Exegol the Sith world, and she's transmitting that information back to the Resistance so they can follow her, and that's where she's going. She's gonna go face down Emperor Palpatine. So my takes on this, I didn't like her going there. That seemed kind of weird to me, but I guess it was to specifically have the imagery of what Luke did. She even says, "Yeah, I'm doing what you did," and she knows that didn't work out very well for him because of what happened in The Last Jedi. I thought it was really cool to see her throw it and Luke catch it, and the line, Jedi's weapon deserves more respect. Quick yes and no's across the board. Was this a slap at Rian Johnson's first moment with Luke Skywalker, Brian?
Yes.
Jammer?
No, because he grew in that movie and realized the error of his ways in The Last Jedi. So no, it's not a slap in the face. It's a natural evolution of what the character learned in The Last Jedi.
Okay. Nick?
Yes.
And Cam. Yeah. Sorry, Jammer. I like your idea, but I think it was. I buy into the whole "this will begin to make things right" line as a slap against George Lucas. I think this was saying that Ryan did the wrong thing, but your natural progression of character does absolutely make sense, Jammer.
Okay.
So that happens, and we get a much different Luke Skywalker this time around. He has grown, realized the errors of his ways. Over the last year, has he been talking to Yoda? Has he been talking to other past Jedi? Has he been meditating? Has he been keeping tabs on Rey? Like, there's a lot of things I would love to know about what Luke has been doing.
I'll tell you what he's been doing. He's been eating and growing out his hair.
Yes, he has been eating and growing out his hair because he was definitely thicker, and what a horrible wig. I think we can all agree that the extensions or wig, I don't know if it's extensions or a wig, but it doesn't look good at all. And also, I don't remember Force Ghost's hair continuing to grow. Obi-Wan always looked like Obi-Wan. Yoda looks like Yoda. The only one that changed, of course, is because of fucking George Lucas is ruining Sebastian Shaw, changing the Force Ghost of Vader, Anakin at the end of Jedi. But I love their conversation here because I do think Luke is seeing her make the same mistakes he was going to make, and like Jammer said, Luke has grown, and I wonder how much growing was done during that year in between his death and meeting up with Rey. Him bringing up the X-Wing is a callback to Empire Strikes Back when he couldn't do it, and Yoda could, and he shows a little smile on his face, like, "See, I can do it too, Yoda," and I like that. Although part of me wanted to see Rey use some sort of like force wind or something to clear out the X-Wing before she hopped in it, because it's been sitting in that in that water for a very, very long time, and I thought that would have been just a cool, like, oh, look what a comedy moment that I would have liked to have seen. Oh, it reeks in here or something like that, and she force blasts wind to clear out all the stuff. I thought that could have been interesting to have. And then she hops into the X-Wing, which I'm totally down with. I like the imagery, the illusions, I think I'm using the right word for her and Luke, which kind of sets up something at the very end of the movie. And the Rebels' little plan to follow her while Lando goes and gets the like a fleet. The resistance says they're going to go, try to take out this particular tower. They come up with a plan, and their plan makes sense. And I like that the plan gets a wrench thrown into it, and we'll get there in a minute. But sorry, my cat is getting into a box, and like most cats do, and she's making noise. I like what happens on Octu. I just kind of wish it didn't have to be Octu. It would have been cool to see her go to Jakku, her home planet, and Luke visit her there. But everything else,
I think she wants to isolate herself from anybody because she doesn't want to.
She can't get much more isolated than Jakku, they say. Yeah. And you
can get more isolated because there are people living in Jakku. There's like only the freaking lizard nuns living in Octo.
I guess
she can't damage civilization or anything.
And I guess I wish there had been a little bit more of her in it. But overall, I was mostly satisfied. So Brian, from her arriving to the rebels deciding, or the resistance deciding to follow her and send Lando to go try to rally the troops.
Yeah, I enjoyed the whole sequence. It reminded me a little bit of in the Star Wars Legacy comic, which is no longer canon. There's a character, Cade Skywalker, who was a descendant, and Luke his Force Ghost would always visit Cade whenever Cade was going through some struggles, trying to basically put him on the right path. This reminded me very much of that. The only difference is Cade always rejected Luke's advice, where Rey accepted it. As far as the X-Wing sequence, that's pure nostalgia, and I enjoyed it. I like the music kicking in, the shot of Luke standing and raising it. I thought that was really cool. And the Rebel stuff, that was fine, the way it was handled.
Okay, Jammer?
It was just fan service overload. We had just seen Han Solo and went straight into a scene with Luke, and I was just like, oh my god, this is my worst fear come to life, is basically following fan service scene after fan service scene into the next fan service scene, and I didn't like it very much. It's like, I like the idea of it overall. I get why it had to happen, and but I just didn't care for it. I didn't care for it too much. I don't know. I understood why it should move the needle for me, but it really didn't because it was so predictable.
Okay. Nick?
This was the third and final slap in the face. That really turned me completely against the movie by this point. I mean, it's good to be honest, Hamill has expressed that he didn't like the choices in Last Jedi. And this feels like him being like slapping Rian Johnson in the face just as hard as J.J. Abrams is, with both that lightsaber line and like how much more he's almost like winking at the camera, like, isn't this what you wanted all along, kids? Now I'm happier too. And it just pissed me off.
Yeah.
I think Cam had to
No,
step away
I'm
for
here. I'm here.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Your take on it.
I quite liked it. Yeah, I understand what everybody says about it was a bit of a slap in the face at Rian Johnson, but I don't really give a fuck about that, to be perfectly honest with you, because I didn't like The Last Jedi, and I didn't really particularly like Luke that much in it. I didn't think it was earned enough, and I kind of, everything that he said was wrong in that film to me, about the balance and everything. It didn't work, and I quite liked the fact that he said, well, I was wrong, I was scared, you know what I mean, I should have been helping the whole time. So I actually quite like this scene, and I quite like the little bit of fan service of having him lift the X-Wing out and everything like that. So no issues from me here really.
Okay,
gross.
Anybody have anything they want to follow up on or challenge anybody's opinion on anything?
I mean, I don't like the fact that it felt so much like fan service. It felt like the whole time J.J. Abrams going like, oh, look, see, I'm doing exactly what you wanted me to. Look at this. Look what I'm doing. I'm doing what you wanted. And I'm like, fuck you. I don't want that. But like, hold on.
go
But
ahead.
I do think that as much as I didn't like that aspect, I think most of what Luke said was a natural evolution from his character arc in The Last Jedi. So I guess I can appreciate it on that level. I didn't see it as much as a slap of the on the face of Rian Johnson. But I just felt it was kind of hammy and cheesy the way it was done.
Okay. I think it's interesting for those of you that haven't followed Last Call in its entirety. You can find all the past episodes on the LRM Online Podcast Network. But Jammer and Nick were both huge fans of The Last Jedi, and its earliest defenders here at LRM once we got a Slack channel going on. And Cam and Seth were always the biggest detractors of that film. Brian and myself, Brian, if I speak for you wrongly, you can say so. There's things that we liked about The Last Jedi, and there's things that we don't like about The Last Jedi. So it's really interesting to hear, to me, the counterpoints and literally how much the fan service stuff means to, say, Cam versus Jammer, but then there's still things that even the things that are fan servicey that Cam that Brian and I have some issues with some of the fan servicey stuff. It's just interesting that we all have these roles as fans, and this movie fits them perfectly. So
yeah. Just pretty interesting.
Just an observation before Cam gets us to the attack on Kajimi. And yeah.
So the Emperor decides that he's going to attack Kajimi. Says basically just pick a planet that people know. I assume he means the audience by that, because that's the only reason I can think of why they attacked Kajimi. It wasn't doing anything else at the time, And is it
that
not
was
just
basically
full of the
him
First
referring
Order
back
grabbing
to
people from it to recruit the ranks, and then they're going to be like, wait a minute, what's this new ship that's just turned up? Oh fuck, they're burning us all.
What I think was funny was I feel like this is almost him reacting to himself. He's like, we didn't tell you about the Hosnian system last movie, but this movie we're going to tell you in advance the one that we're going to blow up, so you have an emotional connection to it.
Yeah, thanks for that. I didn't have any emotional connection to Kajimi, but I suppose they did try with the whole they were gathering up people to round them up for the First Order and etc. And then, of course, Rey decides that she's going to... she's already on her way. The rebels are basically following her through. So she lands at Exegol and she goes to confront the Emperor himself, and the rebels all start following. And we have Rey's conversation with Palpatine about what he's looking for her to do, and he wants her to kill him and then take his place as Empress of the Galaxy and receive all the spirits of the former Sith in her, so that she will have ultimate power. And then, of course, Ben arrives. She senses Ben arriving, and they swap the lightsabers about, and they both have their little fight, and then they both confront the Emperor again. Like they're both fighting against in different places at the same place, and then they kind of come together against Palpatine, and we'll kind of stop it at that point before Palpatine realizes there's something special about these two. We'll pick that up next. So I didn't really have much to say about this bit at all, but Brian, what was your thoughts in this section?
This was definitely the part of the movie where you have to sort of turn off logic in your mind, because the fact that I still don't understand. I mean, clearly he built this in, the idea that all the Star Destroyers are connected. Why? I mean, they explain it, but it doesn't make any sense. Why are they all there? Why? It's that part is stupid to me. So we have many, planet destroying devices after this film. Clearly that's a technology that's out there now, and who's to keep anyone from making it? I didn't hate it, but it was definitely a point in the movie where I just sort of sat back and was like, okay.
Well, they were buried in the ocean for decades, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then on top of that, it made me laugh a little, but it was sort of weird. The whole, like you said, Palpatine's, if you strike me down, all the Sith will be in you. I mean, he just says it, and the audience is just expected to be like, okay, sure, why not? This was the part of the movie where I had the most issues with the plot, and it was still, and I hate to say this, but it was still fun. I mean, yeah, the space battle was fun. The rebels getting ready and the music kicking on, all that was really fun. But yeah, no, a lot of logic gaps, in my opinion.
What about Jammer? Yeah.
Jammer. Oh, yeah.
So like, yeah, I'm with you on this one. This is like, I didn't even follow the plot because I was just like, okay, good guys shooting at bad guys, pew pew. That's how I know whether or not they're winning, because I didn't understand the whole like, oh, we're all connected and destroying this tower and waiting for these people to show up and blah blah blah. Like, okay, I don't understand the logic. I'm pretty confident I'll know who's winning and when and all that stuff. And you know, it was, yeah, you just turn your brain off and then let it happen. And that sounds sexual. It didn't mean for that to happen, but like, it's, you just gotta turn your brain off and just enjoy it. But freaking Palpatine looked like a Doctor Who character or like something.
I agree with that.
Portal, yeah. Or out of Portal, where it's like he's just being carried around like a puppet, and he also felt like that in a mix of Voldemort again. And it was weird. As I was watching, I was like, this is some silly ass shit. This is the silliest Star Wars has been in a long time. And I'm like, maybe not prequel silly at times, but like, as far as the main villain goes, this is the silliest it's been. I guess since Revenge of the Sith, when he went absolute power, or whatever he said. Not absolute power, but infinite, whatever the fuck he said. When he was killing, what's his name?
Mace
and so, yeah, it was silly shit as I was watching it. I didn't quite understand it. He looked goofy. I liked the payoff that they did with the Force talk with the lightsaber, passing one lightsaber to him as he was about to face off against the Knights of Ren. That was great. Once again, building on that same ability and same skill that we've seen throughout the past two movies was, mwah, that was great. That was like a great moment in a really, really boring and kind of all over the place finale. I don't like the fact that Kylo Ren got rid of his outfit and was running around in pajamas. That seemed a bit weird to me. It was like, just because you're good doesn't mean you can get rid of that badass outfit you have. You could still do good things in a bad outfit. I mean, kind of like, you know, the whole lightsaber situation. He could have had his lightsaber and not had to worry about facing off against the Knights of Ren unarmed. And what else was there? There's some other shit with Palpatine that I wanted to say, but yeah, he looked stupid. And oh yeah, so the strike me down thing. I've never liked the idea. It's like, oh, if you strike me down, that means that you strike down in anger and therefore you're evil. But like, not really. Jedi kill people all the time. Why is it this one person is important? I don't understand the logic. I don't buy it.
Because
it just
it's
feels
not
like something like a plot contrivance.
Anymore, so,
but it is self-defense. It is. He's gonna basically said, everyone you know in love is going to die unless you strike me down. That is straight up self-defense right there.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to kill somebody if they threaten that to me.
Yeah. Like, that's self-defense. That's not anger. That's just like, oh, yeah, I'm going to kill you.
But can I don't understand she do why it without the anger? I don't think she could.
I think she could. Fuck yeah, I think you could. It's just like, oh, well, I don't want that to happen. How about this? What if she threw up the lightsaber and then closed her eyes and then it landed on him? Do you think that would work? I don't know. Just the logic behind it, it just felt really contrived and made no sense to me because, yeah, it just made no sense to me. Like, could anyone strike him down and he says, oh, well, now I'm going to inhabit your body next? I don't know. It felt stupid. It felt like very mumbo jumbo magic powers,
I was just
whatever
trying to copy
that we're making up as we go along.
Return of the Jedi, but it made more sense in Return of the Jedi. I could have argued with you about why it made sense in Return of the Jedi. I'm not even going to try in this one because I don't think it does.
Yeah, it's just like oh, it works because plot. It works because it's fun, and I can understand it working for people who don't, who just want to have a good time. It's like, yeah, as far as that goes, yeah, sure, it works. But like when you think about it, it felt stupid.
Nick?
Right. Nick.
I don't know. I feel with like that her being his seed, well, granddaughter, makes her kind of a vessel, which reminds me of the comic that Kyle referenced earlier.
Dark Empire?
Yeah, Dark Empire, which Mr. Sunday Movies did a thing on recently. Like where he has a clone body every time, and he like tries to get into like Leia's daughter or something, tries to impregnate Leia or some weird shit. But so I think it made sense for that reason. Just if you hit me, I'm gonna go in your body. But yeah, otherwise, like this is the part of the movie where I definitely was actually considered walking out, just because I'm like, I know what happens next. Like I can leave now. But I have to be on the podcast tomorrow, so I can't leave now.
We would have bitched at you if you're like, I decided to leave. I'd be like, fucking Nick.
Yeah, I know.
Stay.
I couldn't let that happen. That's why I also didn't leave Hobbs and Shaw early for a different podcast.
Hobbs and Shaw. Yeah.
Lost a train of thought. Oh, overall, I love seeing Kylo Ren and PJs. The
Right.
Knights of Ren were proven to be just as dumb as Captain Phasma or Boba Fett, with no real threat, and just predictable vehicles to fight at the end. Like planet.
Yeah, he had a harder time
vehicles.
fighting the Praetorian Guards than he did the Knights of Ren.
Yeah, I know. But then the stupid Super Star Destroyers or whatever. It's like, okay, Death Star, gun on it, cool. All we have to do is hit one, and we'll take it down, like the battle droids, or like Marvel likes to do that with the Avengers to make it easier, like Ultron, or the Chitauri.
Ultron, they didn't do that actually. Ultron, they had to kill every single one of them.
That's true. The Chitauri.
Yeah.
That kind of, or Justice League doing the same thing, where it's like, okay, this is the quick fix. Like since we can't destroy just one space station, we just kill the head one, and it's over.
Well, they still that was to prevent the ships from escaping, but they did eventually have to destroy them all because any ship could become the leader and escape. So
the shields
they
went down
did easily.
Yeah.
And then did we talk all the way up through the on your left moment yet?
No, we'll get there next.
That's all I got.
Anything else
No.
up until okay. So first off, there's a lot of the Dark Empire story here, is there not, Brian?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you read it too. I'm not sure who all has read those. In the Emperor Reborn Dark Empire storyline, he has a super star destroyer called the Eclipse, and on the front of it is a miniaturized Death Star laser capable of destroying planets. But it was just one star destroyer. It wasn't a fleet of hundreds with planet-killing technology. I don't remember who said it, but I also think it poses a problem that technology is out there, and like when you start thinking about your own headcanon going forward, it brings up issues. To me, it does. It brings up issues. As far as the initial stuff with Rey and Palpatine, because of what he does next, is another thing where I'm like, none of this was fucking planned, and I feel like some of this Palpatine stuff, some of this third act, was involved in the reshoots, as it goes from kill the girl, and he's like, oh, I only did that because I knew that would lead her to coming to me, to I need you to kill me and become Empress, to oh, I'm gonna steal life force from you guys. Like it's so convoluted, and it pisses me off because they said they were getting rid of the EU because the EU was too convoluted. Whatever. They borrow stuff from the EU here, which I'm fine with. I'm fine that they borrowed it without making it a carbon copy, because the Emperor isn't jumping clone bodies, trying to jump into the unborn child of Leia or anything like that. They just took some of the cool ideas of Dark Empire and used it. And yeah, the Emperor's plans, like you guys have been saying, it's just it's so much going on, and it doesn't feel like, it feels like if some other things had happened in the other movies, maybe this works out better. This gives a payoff, but Cam and I, in our LR mornings, we came up with 3 words to describe this film, which was full, fast, and unearned. And I feel like this Emperor Palpatine's stuff at the end is unearned throughout the rest of this trilogy. However, her turning on the lightsaber and placing it behind her back because she knows Kylo has Ben at this point has shown up. I saw her do that. I knew she was handing it off, and it was one of the most exciting moments in the film for me. And his fight against the Knights of Ren before he gets a weapon, I really liked him using the Force to fight. But when he gets that lightsaber, and I think he like thudded his chest, or he did like a come at me bro type signal of some sort. I was excited. I really enjoyed that part. And I was really, really excited with how that went down, and them two working. Even though I disagree with Redemption, this stuff actually did work for me. And I liked the that, and then we'll get into what happens with Palpatine in a moment. Anybody have any last takes on any of that stuff before we talk what happens next?
Nope.
I don't think so.
Okay. So in the space battle, actually it's in the atmosphere. I don't. There were the only actual space battle in the sequel trilogy is in The Last Jedi. All the other ones to take place in atmospheres, I think. But in the air battle, they're losing a lot of ships. Wex, whatever the fuck his name is, big chubby guy, used to be in the show Heroes. What's that? Yes, Slap Wexley. There you go. Which turns out
Wexley.
Snap. Okay. Turns out, apparently in one of the comics, that he's Wedge Antilles' son. Anyways, the air battle, they learn that, any one of these Star Destroyers can become the lead Star Destroyer and help them all out of the thing. The battle on the Star Destroyer's hull itself looks really cool. When I saw the trailer and I was like, oh god, space horses on the hull of a Star Destroyer, there's no way I'm gonna like that. I actually found this quote unquote ground battle on the hull of the Star Destroyer very cool looking. I don't necessarily agree with the way it was executed, but it looked cool. They managed to take out the control tower and buy some time, and we get what Nick was calling the on your left moment, with Lando coming in and saying you're not alone. That there's more of us than there is of them, or whatever it is that he says, and this whole fleet of hodgepodge ships, including the Ghost from Rebels. The cartoon is there. We get so there's a lot more destruction going on, and they start taking out the Death Star cannons on those Star Destroyers, which helps them bring down the fleet. Let's see here. Let's get into let me stop there, and I want to do all of the Palpatine stuff last. So in the air battle, of course, once Lando arrives, they're able to take out the ship. There's a moment where Palpatine paralyzes the fleet, but that passes, and then the good guys win. So as far as the air and quote unquote ground battle, Brian, comments.
It was just my biggest gripe was it was too easy to take down the Star Destroyers once the fleet came in. If it was that easy all along, that was one thing I loved about the original trilogy is the struggle of the rebellion. And in this, they're like, no, we rallied basically every I mean, it was too many ships in my opinion. I know they wanted a big grand finale, but it didn't have any emotional weight. Mm-hmm. And I think where in Return of the Jedi, when they were losing at one point, that you felt that. In this, I really didn't because I knew what was coming, the way it came. So that was my biggest complaint. Yeah, it was fun to watch as far as explosions and stuff. And I agree with you. I like to me, the Space Horse stuff was sort of almost a Return of the Jedi nature versus technology type, mirroring that a little bit. So, yeah.
Definitely. Jammer?
I kind of got bored. It was like a lot of explosions and stuff and things, and I was just like, all right, what actually matters here? I didn't quite understand what actually matters. And then Snap Wexley died, and I was like, okay, things are getting serious. And then On Your Left, and I was like, okay, cool, there's people. And then there were people.
They call him that. They call him that too. He goes, where's this fleet coming from? It's not a fleet. It's just people.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think the point is they aren't like warships or whatever.
Yeah.
Fighter
it's
ships.
like a theme thing about the galaxy of people versus. Yeah. Anyways,
it was blunt, very on the nose. I get why they were doing it. And as I've mentioned this before, J.J. Abrams is really good about taking something and boiling it down to its essence. I didn't realize how bad things were going until A, they told me it was going bad, and B, Snap Wexley died, which clearly means that we're at like the down point. And then, because that guy we vaguely know for the past couple movies, or at least for two of the past couple movies, dies. It's like, oh no, things are getting serious now because we can't kill someone we actually care about. And then the ships come, and I thought, yeah, that's a lot of ships. I think it was too many ships as well. I like the idea of it, but it just wasn't earned, as you guys said. It was unearned. We didn't see the other stuff with the galaxy. We didn't get any hint of any other people from other points. I know what I thought earlier was when Oscar Isaac said, we called out for people in Crate, but nobody came. I'm like, great. What have you guys been doing in the past year? Like, have you talked to anyone? Have you tried to open up any communications? Have you tried to do anything? Like, there was no hint of them trying to reach out and do anything else in the past year or so. So it was hard for me to believe all of a sudden, yeah, sure, we'll come and help you guys. Like, it felt unearned.
Definitely. Nick?
Okay, so I really think, Marvel's definitely stolen some of Star Wars' thunder in my life. But I think Endgame stole a lot of this movie's fucking thunder. Being a satisfying conclusion and having the On Your Left moment that actually meant something emotionally.
Okay, well, at least it was good, though. That's the thing. That's the thing is because Endgame was like way better told of a story. I don't think it's just it stole the moments. Well, I think it built up to those moments much better.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's exactly.
Yeah.
Like there was no emotion to this one. It's like it's typical what you expect in the third act. Everyone shows up to help, but like the bad guys get shot at the last minute. Blah blah blah. So, yeah, it was okay. This is when I got the check a few minutes before the scene, so this is when I was trying to figure out the tip. I wasn't really looking at the screen as much. So, and I didn't like the horses, but again, I didn't feel so strongly about the movie to like hate it either. I was like, oh, another weird Star Wars decision. Cool.
Yeah, I think that describes me in this movie a lot, where I'm just kind of like, yeah, that I don't agree with that. It's not working for me, but I don't hate it because I'm entertained, and I'm entertained enough to where it's fine, but... Yeah.
Okay. Well, the longevity of our crew, much like the Resistance, is dropping.
Our Snap Wexley has just died.
Our Snap Wexley has just passed, and Cam has gone on to take care of a personal issue, which is all right. These things happen. I mean, we're looking at we've been going on for close to 3 hours total. So thank you guys so much for listening and sticking it through. Let's wrap this up. Kylo Ren shows up to help Rey after defeating the Knights of Ren, and the Emperor. They both stand against the Emperor. Rey with Leia's lightsaber, Kylo with his grandfather's lightsaber. So imagery there, of course, and They face off against him, and the Emperor then changes plans. He doesn't want to be struck down, and instead he's going to steal the life force of these two. So he does. He turns into a Dementor. Yeah, he steals the life force. You literally see his body being reconstructed, and the makeup job's so much better than the prequel trilogy, especially that neck issue that they had in the prequel trilogy. The neck just was, it looked like the mask wasn't the turkey neck, and sat on all the way. So he steals their life force. He tosses Ben. He says, much like your grandfather threw me, I'm going to throw you, or some shit like that. And throws Ben down. And we then think Rey is dead. The part where the fleet up in the air battle is disabled is Palpatine is shooting force lightning, massive force lightning up through the ceiling that he had opened to show Rey that all of her friends were dying. And just like he showed Luke the space battle outside the Death Star. Thank you. And the force lightning, deals with the ships and has them acting like ion cannons on them. Actually, not Kylo comes back, but Rey starts asking for, "Please come to me." What is it she says?
Who's she talking to? I don't remember.
When she's calling on the past Jedi, it's the same mantra she had when she was training with Leia. It's like, come to me, or call out to you, or something like that.
She's basically pulling in a spirit bomb based on like the old Jedi of the past and their energy.
Yes.
I don't know.
And
it's like I said, some weird mumbo jumbo magic bullshit that they decided to pull in at the last minute.
So she is calling on past Jedi, and we start hearing all these voices of past Jedi, and including Luke and Leia and Obi-Wan Kenobi, Yoda, and they're kind of like chatting her on. They're pep talking her up, and basically offering her their power, basically the opposite of what Palpatine was, which was, I'm all of the Sith. She became all of the Jedi, and she even says that to him. She goes, and I'm all the Jedi, which is I am inevitable, and I am Iron Man moment, which again completely unearned. And
really quick, I have to say this in my head, because this is the moment where everyone's whispering to her, right? And you hear Anakin say, "Bring balance to the Force," like I did. Right?
Oh God!
I wish we had heard Mace Windu go, "English, motherfucker, do you speak it?" That would have been great.
But Mace Windu and Qui-Gon were there.
Yes,
were they? I didn't notice.
Yeah, all the voices were there, and they got actually all those people came in and recorded.
What's her face from the Clone Wars?
Ahsoka.
Oh,
yes, the voice actress. Yes, yes. All of the Jedi are actual Jedi that have spoken in the canon material, including Rebels and Clone Wars. And so Rey stands up. She gets the other lightsaber and starts redirecting the Force lightning at Palpatine. taking back or taking the energy away from him, eats him up, and basically does what Mace Windu did to him in the prequel trilogy, but this time it kills him. There's a massive explosion of force energy, and stuff starts falling apart. Ben crawls out of the hole after Rey collapses, appearing to be dead. Ben crawls out of the hole that he was thrown down. He comes over to her, transfers his life force over to her. They share the most ridiculous kiss ever. That is just proof that they literally looked up hashtag Raylo and like
my
counted.
audience applauded.
I actually didn't mind it. I actually felt like that was one of the things in this movie that was kind of earned, is their relationship. So I'm against you on that one.
I don't know. I didn't like it. I felt that was a fan service thing, definitely, and I wasn't one of the fans of it. But Christine, my wife, she actually said that they should have at least done another take. She didn't think the kiss looked good, like physically, chemistry wise. But then Ben dies, and he fades away, and Leia's body, we flash back to it, and Leia fades away. So let's go with that, Brian.
Jammer, earlier you said you were referencing Doctor Who. I feel this whole sequence reminded me of like a Russell T Davies finale, season finale of Doctor Who. It sort of had those vibes to it.
The cloaked people. Who were those cloaked people that were just in the stands? Was that an illusion? Were they real? What the fuck was that? It's like some Doctor Who shit where it's just like, we're not going to explain it, but it's quirky. Whatever.
And that's exactly the vibe I got. And he almost had a Davros look anyways. But I enjoyed the kiss. I agree that their relationship was completely earned, and was sort of something that definitely carried over from all three films, especially The Last Jedi. The way she defeated Palpatine, it's fine. I mean, you would think he would have learned his lesson from using that technique against a lightsaber. I do like the melting face. I'm glad it was cool. Very, Indiana Jones, they went for actually showing the layers of the face melting. I thought that was cool. I don't know how I'll feel about Kylo dying. I don't know yet, because I think there's more stories that could have been told. But then again, this film tells us that with the Force, anything's possible, and he could easily return. So I don't know about that yet. I think it serves the story in this film. I don't know how much it serves the continuation of the franchise going forward. I don't know. So,
okay. Jammer.
As I mentioned before, I think the kiss worked for me. Their relationship worked. Actually, I think the moment that worked best for me is when she saw him and said Ben when she woke up, and I was like, oh, I like that. I actually didn't mind it. Like, it worked for me. I also am happy that he died, simply because it wouldn't make sense for me for her to be brought back to life and him not to die. There not to be some sort of equal and balanced consequence. So I get that. I also like the fact that while, yes, this was like a redemption arc, kind of reminiscent of Return of the Jedi, he didn't necessarily play a pivotal role in destroying the Emperor, and it wasn't like he went in and slashed him at the last minute and therefore taking on the Emperor and stuff and having it be this weird thing. Like, it could have gone a couple other directions, and I'm happy with the direction they ultimately settled on. So yeah, I like their relationship. I like that he died. I pretty much liked the emotional aspect of a lot of that stuff. Though when you guys were talking about Leia disappearing and then Kylo disappearing, I just imagined this weird them like reappearing as like chimera versions of like a Leia and Kylo Ren monster just appearing out of nowhere. Don't know why. But anyways, yeah, I think overall the emotionality of this stuff I enjoyed, even though it was silly and ridiculous and dumb and often made no sense, but the emotional relationship between those two worked.
Okay, Nick.
I don't get all the life force mumbo jumbo. At least him taking theirs suddenly and that being his new plan. I understand, like, there's a planted line earlier where she's like, she heals the guy, and then they're like, oh, that worm, and they're like, why'd you do that? Or like, how'd you do that? She's like, I used part of my life force, and they're like, and she's like, it was a decision I had to make. So, I mean, that's Kylo, obviously, at the end. He's choosing to give his life force to Rey. But I still wish that movie had just ended with Kylo climbing up and the Dark Knight Rise chant. And then he just cut and his hand goes up the side. That's the Rise of Skywalker. Boom. And then my cat just sneezed.
Maybe I didn't make my thing with the kiss. I never really got romance from their story.
I did. The sexual tension was whew in the last movie.
Not even in the last. Him being shirtless, I never really got romance between the two. I got siblings, and I really was seeing Jason and Jaina in them, and I don't know. Did you all see romance from the get go from all the first two movies, Brian?
Yeah, I see what you mean as far as Jason and Jaina, because they're clearly modeled after those two characters. But no, absolutely sexual tension, especially in Last Jedi.
Oh my God, those two look like they were ready to throw down on top of each other in the middle of that movie when their fingers touched in the freaking hut. Oh my God,
Nick's same thing, huh?
Yeah, but I always hoped they wouldn't hook up. That kind of part of the fandom that was creating all those weird drawings and stuff.
But that's mostly because of fandom, not because of the movies, right?
No, I mean, even just like, I don't know. I guess it was a pretty good ending for both of them. It didn't bother me at all. Because I definitely sensed it in the other movies. I just didn't know if they go all the way through with it or if they just kind of leave it dangling.
So I liked Kylo dying at the end because, like Jammer said, you there's no way that you can have them both survive. Not him giving life force up and surviving it after she did the same thing, and they'd both been drained by the Emperor. So yeah, that's my take on that. The ending of the film shows a few things. There's celebration, of course, with the fleet, and Rey joins the fleet up in the sky with Luke's X-wing. They call it Red 5, even though he had actually been in Rogue Squadron.
Oh my God.
They call it Rogue 5 and Red 5 instead of Rogue.
Nerd.
That's even canon, though, that he was
still
in
nerd.
Rogue Squadron. So it wasn't Red 5, it was a Rogue. Anyways.
Oh, I know that. I'm just giving him shit.
They go back to the little jungle forest planet that they were on. There's celebrations. Maz Kanata gives Chewie a medal. I'm guessing it's Han's medal that Leia had kept, and Maz gives it to Chewbacca. The moment I wanted to mention about Chewbacca, completely forgot about it. So to backtrack just one moment, his cry over the loss of Leia when he finds out Leia's gone. So now Luke, Han, and Leia are all gone. He's the only one left alive. His cry. Brian, was that an apology for not having a moment with Leia after Han's death?
I don't know. That was a very emotional moment. It wasn't just the cry; it was the falling.
Yes.
To his knees.
It was great, beautifully done, well earned, and I loved it. But do you think that was Abrams making up for Leia hugging Rey instead of Chewie?
Maybe I didn't really think about it like that, but
okay.
I don't know.
Jammer, did you have any thought like that?
Yep. I think exactly this. Yes, I think it was a makeup for that because I remember him thinking, "Oh shit, I didn't even think about that." Whoops, that's basically what he said in an interview, and I think this made up for that.
Nick, was it a makeup?
Absolutely, it was longer than it needed to be, just because it was like, again, just trying to win back everybody.
But it was a good scene, very emotional. I bought it.
Yeah, great scene.
I didn't feel like that scene was earned. I didn't feel like anything in this movie was earned.
Wow. Nick,
you don't think the Kylo Ren and Rey thing was earned? Their relationship?
No, I mean, it's all fine. It's just in the end, I mean, Kyle's wrapping up the end of the movie, but it's the same movie. It's the same trilogy.
Yeah.
During the celebrations, we see Bespin and we see Jakku and we see the Forest Moon of Endor, and we get an Ewok cameo, and we do get to see what looks like the leftovers of a Holdo maneuver. One of the Star Destroyers over one of those planets has broken in half, and it's got like a white streak going through it. So the next time you guys watch the movie, keep an eye out for that. So it does look like somebody did use the Holdo maneuver for their problem, their Star Destroyer problem that they had on their planet. Rey eventually heads over to Tatooine, where she takes Luke's and Leia's lightsabers, bounds them together, and buries them deep in the ground around Luke's former moisture farm, the Lars family moisture farm. An old lady comes by and asks, there's been nobody here for ages. Who are you? And she says, Rey. And she goes, Rey who? Rey looks at the farm, at the ground, and she says, exactly what I knew she would say. I called this in the theater. I was like, I bet you she takes the name Skywalker over Palpatine, and she does. She says Rey Skywalker, and then we get the sunset music, which leads us into the credits. So, Brian, your thoughts on the celebrations and the Rey Skywalker bit?
Celebrations were fine. That was fine. I did notice the Star Destroyer split like that.
Okay.
I liked her new lightsaber. I thought it looked cool. It didn't really make any sense.
I forgot to bring that up. Let me. So if you notice, it looks like it's potentially double-sided. Her lightsaber. She only turns on one side, but it looks like it's potentially double-sided. In the canon, yellow lightsabers were used by Jedi Temple guards, and they were all double-bladed. Like lightsaber pikes, and characters like Asajj Ventress and Ahsoka also had yellow lightsabers. So I think hers is double-ended because she fights well with a staff, but she only lit up one side, and she only lit it up to show us that yes, I've got my own. I've been continuing my training, and what does that mean? That she's taken on the title of Guardian, maybe something like that. Go ahead, Brian. Sorry.
I like the look of it was really cool, and similar to Luke, completing your lightsaber, completing your training. That's what to me that showed. Plus, it selling toys. That's another replica that will be out there, I'm sure. I didn't really understand why it was necessary to bury the two lightsabers on Tatooine. Leia, that wasn't her place. I mean, I guess it was symbolic, but I really didn't see a point in it. As far as the Skywalker thing, I like it. The group I was with, I went to the film with about 10 people. It was very mixed.
Jeez, Brian's got a lot of friends. Nick, do you have 10 friends? I don't have 10 friends. No. Jammer, I know you have no life, so.
It's true.
It was part of the group liked it. That was actually some of the people in the group's biggest gripe with the film, was they didn't really like that she took that name. Me personally, I didn't have an issue with it from 2 points of view. Looking at the Luke and Leia, that's her adopted family. That's her parents, essentially. So that's why I accepted it. And two, really going to the core of Kylo giving his life force, Ben being a Skywalker. So in essence, she truly has Skywalker life force in her. So to me, it made sense. I liked the final shot. It was fine. So yeah.
Okay. Jammer?
I know in those last moments where it's like, Rey who? It's just like, okay, we know what she's going to say. No need to drag it out. We know what you're going to say. Like, she's not going to be like, Rey Palpatine. It's like, no, it's called The Rise of Skywalker. What the hell is she just going to say? Though I guess it would have maybe made more sense for her to say Rey Organa. That could have been a thing. But, when she looked and she saw their Force Ghost, and I was like, oh, God, it looks so bad. It looks so cheesy.
Yeah.
I don't need that. Stop. It was really bad. I didn't like that. I don't mind that she named herself Skywalker. I think that makes sense. It feels earned. I get it. She's found her identity after all these years. Good for her. Good for you, Rey. I just didn't want to see Luke with his bad wig and his increasing, girth. Not to insult or fat shame. Don't mean to say that. Yeah. But it just was so obvious. I don't know why they didn't reference the last movie and then say like, hey, we should make his hair shorter. I just don't understand that. It was weird. But yeah, it's fine.
Some script supervisor fucked up.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't like it. As far as that goes, that was just really cringy to me. I hate that word cringy, but it was. And it felt natural to me that she would name herself that. But yeah, nothing super crazy. I didn't notice that Holdo maneuver. I think that's pretty cool. Anything else to say? Oh yeah, there was that moment that I thought was funny between Poe and Zori or whatever, where I don't know quite exactly what it was, but it was just like, hey, you want to take it off? She's like, no, and she walks away, and he's like, oh, okay. And I thought that was funny.
Yeah, he's basically saying, hey, you want to go fuck? And she's like, no.
Nah, yeah, I thought that was funny. Yeah, I like that because that was. I don't know, but yeah, overall, yay and nay at the same time.
Okay, Nick,
it's all fine. Like, I was the first person out of that theater the minute the credits started rolling, and I was far from the door. I was just like,
and me, I was just like, done. Why didn't Finn say his thing?
Yeah.
It's just, yeah. I mean, I don't know what's to stop the Emperor from coming back again when Disney needs more money. Like, and Abrams wants to dip back into the well again. It's just a circle. Nothing ever ends, to quote Watchmen.
Oh, you know what the worst part of this was? The worst part was fucking Lando and Janna and him saying, who are you? I don't know.
That was
odd. Let's find out.
That was odd. Let's find out. I've slept with half the galaxy, so...
Oh, I actually didn't think that. I thought it was like alluding to more adventures.
No, it is, but I couldn't... Lando will fuck anything that moves. So I was also like, is he hitting on her?
Yeah. I thought it was on both. There's no good way to take that at all. Like, no good way at all. Because either A, you're going to... give me a second, sorry. Either A, you're going to take it as, that, he's going to fuck her, or B, it's just a ham-fisted way to allude to a new spin-off.
Yeah, I guess I could see that. And spin-offs is I don't know. We got to see how much money this movie makes to figure out what Disney's going to do next. But that is pretty much the end of the movie. That's it, guys. The Rise of Skywalker is over. Let's go over the normal questions we do with all of our Last Call episodes. And Brian, who was the strongest actor of this movie for you?
Daisy Ridley. To me, this was her 3 films. To me, her performance in this was one of the highlights. I think she did a great job.
Okay. Jammer.
Adam Driver. He continues to be strong.
Okay. Nick?
I didn't know which to pick of those two. And Brian convinced me of one, and then Jammer brought it back. Let's say Daisy Ridley.
Okay.
They're both awesome, though.
They did do very, very well. This is definitely Ridley's best performance, but I have to give it to Billy D. Williams. No, I'm joking.
Oh, what the fuck?
I'm joking.
I almost lost my shit
going
there.
with who I've said the whole time, the guy that drove this Skywalker Saga, this final Skywalker Saga trilogy with Adam Driver. James and Cam have sent in their answers, and both of them also selected Adam Driver as the strongest actor. So Brian, weakest actor.
There really wasn't anyone that I thought was weak. I think the Hux character was wasted. But that's sort of my answer. As far as performances, I think everybody did well. I was not irritated by any performance in this film.
Okay.
So it's sort of a non-answer, but there you go.
Jammer?
Billy D. Williams. The whole time, he just seemed like, I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for calling, Lucasfilm. That's the impression I got from his performance. He didn't feel like Lando. He felt like Lando as much as Han felt like Han, in that it just felt like an actor trying to remember how he played a character and sort of hamming it up.
Yeah.
And also, he wasn't used very well.
Okay. Nick.
Carrie Fisher. She was stiff as a board.
Oh, God damn it.
No, I'm joking.
Really,
I
Nick?
don't have an answer.
At LRM_Nick.
It's like, I don't understand why they didn't give her more dialogue. What's that about?
I actually agree with Jammer on this one. I found Billy D. Williams. He only had one mode, and that was first arrival at Bespin Lando. That's what he was the whole time. He didn't have any. He didn't bring anything to the table.
No nuance.
Nothing.
It felt like a characterized version of what he remembered playing 20 or 30 years ago, or however long it was.
Donald Glover's clothes.
James actually said, obviously, Carrie Fisher as the weakest actor of this film, which I guess technically she was a weak actress considering they were using lines previously recorded.
And I do think that her muscles atrophied in the years since they filmed it.
Yeah, definitely. We are morbid motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And Cam said Gleason. He's hated on Hux like I have for the entire trilogy, but I do honestly believe Billy D. Williams was the weakest actor that got, lines and stuff like that. Brian, your favorite scene in this movie?
It's the lightsaber duel on the Death Star, lead all the way through Leia's demise to Han. That whole sequence.
Okay. All right. Jammer?
It's interesting. I know in the past I've said the trailers make this thing look like it has a lot of great memorable set pieces. However, reflecting back on the movie, and I don't think there really were that many great memorable set pieces, ironically enough, just a lot of great establishing shots that I thought would be cool set pieces. So there's not a lot for me to choose from that I remember off the top of my head, but I think if I had to, it was sort of that breakneck hyperspeed jump at the skipping at the beginning I thought was really cool. Like, I definitely was holding my breath during that scene when they kept jumping, and it was cool. I liked it.
Okay. Nick?
I can't think of one. It doesn't mean I dislike all of it. It's just I can't really... No one scene stands out as like, oh, that was awesome. Right. I liked quite a few scenes, but none of them stand out to me right now as like, that was the one. So...
I love the lightsaber battle on the Death Star, but I think because of the cinematography, the choreography, the Kajimi / Star Destroyer lightsaber duel, I think is my favorite scene. Just the duel part, not the part where she figures out all who she is. But once they start fighting to where he's like, oh, that's where you're at. When Vader's mask falls on Kajimi, I think visually that was awesome, and I love the way it uses that force power and connection. Very close second for me is her handing him Luke's lightsaber. I thought that was really awesome.
Those are my second and third scenes respectively, so I agree.
Okay, cool. Least favorite scene, bro. Oh, wait, hold on. Favorite scene from James was Han Solo and Ben for one reason. Dad, I know. So the line, when Adam Driver says Dad, and then Han responds, I know, and kind of a throwback to the I love you, I know type thing. So that was James's, and Cam says the opening with Kylo Ren hunting down the Emperor was his favorite scene. So worst scenes, Brian.
There was nothing I really hated as far as a specific scene, but I will say the trailer ruining the dark side Rey thing. To me, that was annoying even in the movie because I knew it was coming. I knew it wasn't really her. So that.
Okay. Jammer?
See, I'm torn because I do like a lot of the Kylo Ren and Rey stuff. But at the same time, that Doctor Who bullshit was some straight up Doctor Who bullshit. So like all the stuff in that throne room involving the Emperor was the worst, including like all those weird cloaked people.
Yeah, I get it. Nick, can you pick out a worse scene?
No.
Nick is so done with Star Wars. He's just looking forward to Black Widow.
Yeah, and some Bond and stuff. It'll be good.
So for my worst scene, I would probably pick the kiss. I'm just gonna go with that. I hated it because I viewed their relationship through a different lens. So
I feel like you were making the connections to the EU too much, so it shaped your perspective of their
I'm
language.
Always admittedly biased, but the thing is I see how many connections are there, and that's why there's moments of the Last Jedi that some people have issues with Luke that I don't, because of what I read in the EU. So I am biased of that, but yeah, that's my least favorite. Ben instantly dying. Apparently James's theater laughed at that as least favorite scene. And the Kajimi start, so the stuff with Zori and Poe and their conversation for Cam was his absolute least favorite. And what changes would you have made to this movie, Brian, to make it better?
I would have reworked the script and turned it into 2 films. I would have made it would have been a 10-film saga. That's what I would have done.
Nice. I can't say. I said from a very, very long time ago that it was too short. Once we knew the runtime was 2.5-ish less, I said it needed to be 3 hours. Jammer, what do you think could have made the film better?
I mean, I think so much of the strength was whenever they actually built on the Last Jedi stuff. So less unbuilding and more building on top of it, because I think it just made it stronger, and cut out some of the extra stuff. I don't know off the top of my head what stuff they could have cut. That was just like a sloppy third act involving like a billion Death Stars or whatever. Like, rework that. That was weird. I don't know where they came from. I don't know when he built it. I don't know when that happened, how that happened, who he had working for him, how it's manned. I don't know any of these things. So like, get rid of that shit and then build on The Last Jedi better. And yeah, work it that way. I don't know how to take it that way. Get rid of Palpatine. I would have done that as well. And yeah, I don't know. I would have made a completely different movie, I guess. Okay. But it's not my movie. It's just J.J. Abrams' vision. And at the end of the day, it was entertaining. But I do wish it took more risks.
Nick, what would you do?
Hired Ryan Johnson.
You have the same answer as James.
Yeah, that was basically, and it's similar to what Jammer was saying, I feel, because again, building off what came before. And yeah, I would definitely get rid of Emperor. I don't know how you fix the problem of losing Emperor Palpatine for a new villain.
Keep Kylo the bad guy.
Because then now it's no longer it's not the Anakin franchise, it's the Palpatine franchise.
Yeah.
Because of the sequel trilogy.
I got an questions about that. Brian, do you think the stuff that they built on from The Last Jedi was some of the strongest stuff, or do you disagree with Jammer and Nick?
When it comes to the connection between the Force stuff with like Rey and Kylo Ren, yes. Now, I have some issues with that film, specifically the like B, C, and D plots. But the core plot, the stuff with Luke, the stuff with Rey, the stuff with Kylo, I loved in The Last Jedi, and I think that all of that carried over into this film really worked.
Okay, so do you think if they had leaned into even some of the stuff that you didn't like from The Last Jedi, do you think it would have been better in this film?
I would absolutely love to see what Ryan Johnson would have done. Mm-hmm. I would love to know. Yeah,
absolutely. I'm with Brian, but I don't think you need to split it into two films. I think because of what they did, short of going like Jammer, making a completely different movie. I would have lengthened the movie to 3 hours, cut out some of the stuff on that desert planet, and expanded a little bit more on like Jana and her rogue stormtroopers, and maybe shown how Lando was rallying the fleet. I would have spent extra time kind of fleshing out some of those parts. So let's go around the board. Last comments on the Rise of Sky. Or excuse me, actually, Brian, where does this rank for you in your Star Wars saga films only?
I don't know.
Is it in your top 3?
No.
Top
I like
5?
it better than maybe.
Okay.
I like it better than the prequels, all 3. I can
okay.
tell you that much. As far as this trilogy, my biggest issue with The Last Jedi is I don't like the Canto Bight stuff. I don't like any of the stuff Finn is in that film. So I typically fast forward through it. I don't know if there's anything in this movie I would fast forward through. Maybe not. I need to see it a couple more times. But I can definitively say I like it better than the prequels.
Okay. Jammer.
I think it's directly above the prequels for me. It's like 2, 1, 3, 9.
Okay. So it's your least favorite of the sequel trilogy.
My least favorite Disney movie, period, from Star Wars.
Okay, wow.
It's worse than Solo, easily. Like, as far as, you may not agree that Solo is good as a solo movie, but I feel like as a movie, if you were to separate it from Solo as a character, it's, like, much stronger than this movie is.
Yeah. Nick, where does it fall and for you?
Right above episode 3, almost equal to episode 3. The bottom. Fourth from the bottom.
It's above the prequels for me. It's above Solo for me. It's it is really hard for me to tell whether or not this should be above or below the Last Jedi. I need to see it again because there's so much that happens in this that negates the Last Jedi. I don't even really need to watch it anymore. So as far as story wise goes, so we're talking, not even top 5 for me. So 7 and Rogue One are above that, and Saga films only. Then I guess it would be the OT is in 1, 2, and 3, of course, and then 7, and then so in 5th place somewhere 8 or 9. I'll have to see 9 again one more time. Let's go around
quick. I will say I think this is still much stronger than any of the prequels.
Yes,
easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least the prequels took risks, though.
So
that's a good point. Yeah, that is a good point.
Last thoughts on the Rise of Skywalker, Brian.
Just like I said before, I enjoyed the character arc of Rey and Kylo or Ben, and that'll be what I think. That's the thing I'll think of most when I think of this trilogy.
Okay, Jammer.
Like it's like entertaining enough. If it's on, I'll probably watch it. But like, it really does. It is every fear I had in regards to a sequel trilogy. Like, it's basically if Kevin Smith were to make a Star Wars movie, all of the references that he would include in it. That's pretty much what I imagine. It's like, oh, we need to have Force Ghost Leia and stuff, and we need to have Lando for some reason be creepily waiting for Poe and then to talk to him at some point. And they had so many back-to-back mentor talking scenes that I was just like, oh my God, stop it, please. But at the same time, it was entertaining enough. So as if I'm torn in that, like, I don't want to say I hate it because I don't. And I think we have a real problem in thinking that everything is the worst or the best. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's nearly, I think there's a lot here. There's solid filmmaking. There's some competent character arc stuff. There's some interesting storylines, and it has like nice and brisk pacing. But it just doesn't come together in a way that I felt rewarding, and it didn't take any risks. And even worse, it undid the risks that were taken in the previous movie. And it just made me kind of lose all hope that we can get anything unique and interesting out of this franchise.
Okay, Nick.
Well, I don't know how do I word this best. Basically, I don't know. It eliminates the reason. We always talk about, and I kind of joke about it because it's like, when is there an unnecessary sequel? Like, they all are, they all aren't, whatever. This is one of the most unnecessary 3 films I've seen in my entire life. I mean, the only use I see for it is showing to your kids after you show them the original movies when they're not old enough to realize they're watching the same movies again, so that they can watch a shinier version. Like, this makes the other 2 just as pointless as this movie is, and won't be part of my viewing catalog, any of the other 2 either.
Well, entertaining moments, some really good things that if had background in the past 2 films would have worked. My fears and theories confirmed, and it was a overstuffed film that spent too much time retconning when it should have leaned into The Last Jedi and given us two films that connected, because really right now what we have is 3 wholly independent films. And I don't mean holy as in like God.
Well, I feel like we have episode 7, a gap, and then episode 9.
Kind of. But
that being said, kind of, because they did take certain aspects and lean into some, like the stuff with the force talk stuff that they did.
Yeah,
and a couple other aspects. There was like enough connections to the point where you had to watch the previous one, but it didn't lead into it as much as many of us hoped.
Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this iteration of the Last Call podcast. There is going to be in January, kind of like a post-mortem with myself and Cam discussing the Skywalker saga in its entirety, so you guys can look forward to that next month. Leave some comments below. Tell us what you would like to see come from Last Call. Would you like to see us do more general Star Wars stuff, or do you want us to let the past die and kill it off?
Really quick, I do want to say Rotten Tomatoes. I do want to talk about this for a split second.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure.
Right now, the tomato meter has 58% for critics and 86% verified audience rating.
That's 308 critics. So I think the film's that makes it rotten, right?
That's officially rotten. Yeah, there's no way that's going to go above 60. And I think that's about a good rating. I think I could see it being pretty divisive, and I don't think it deserves to be fresh. But obviously, it's an aggregation. Or an aggregate. And then the audience score confirms also my worst fears that audiences will take to this sloppy, fan servicey take. And again, I don't hate the movie. It's just disappointing. I think at the end of the day, would I recommend it? It's like, yeah, sure, go for it. It's entertaining. It's not great, but entertaining. So I guess I would fall under the positive review. But at the end of the day, it didn't take risks, and I don't like the fact that it didn't.
I'll read out the critic scores, the official scores for the rest of the saga real quick. New Hope 93, Empire 94, Jedi 82, Phantom Menace 53, Clones 65, Revenge of the Sith 80, and then Force Awakens 93. Last Jedi 91, Rogue One got an 83, and Solo had a 70. So that's 58% rotten. There's only 2 rotten other films, and that's episode 1 and that animated Clone Wars movie, but we don't count that one. So well, guys, thank you so much for sticking it out in this marathon of a podcast. Make sure you guys check out all the great stuff at lrmonline.com. We cover all of your entertainment news needs. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the YouTube channel so you can see all the amazing interviews that we get with A-class celebrities and stuff on movies, not just quick press room stuff either, but we get really, really good content on there, worth a subscription. And please subscribe anywhere you get podcasts from to the LRM Online Podcast Network. I will actually let you guys each plug your individual shows. I have LR Mornings every Monday through Friday, and you guys can find me at that Kyle Malone on Twitter. And I also do LRM Ranks It on Wednesdays. Nick, where can people find you at, and what do you do?
I'm at LRM_Nick on Twitter, and I am on a show I co-created, Breaking Geek Radio, the podcast, which comes out every Monday on LRMonline.com.
Brian, what do you do?
I got a YouTube channel, Pulp Mythos. Check me out. I also do the morning show with Kyle. Most weeks.
He 2 or 3 times a month, most Mondays. So, and Jammer, our boss. Go ahead, bud.
It's at Jam the Writer on Twitter and everything else at LRMonline.com. Los Fanboys is not happening today, but it usually happens Fridays. And it's not happening today because we just spent 4 fucking hours talking about this movie.
Yep, and I've got to edit 4 fucking hours of stuff. So you guys hurry up, get off your asses, and send me your audio. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this, Jammer. Thank you so much for letting me do this. It's been a wonderful experience, and hopefully we can figure out a way for something Star Wars related to carry on. To all of the fans out there, may the Force be with you.